Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely pumped you're here today because we're tackling a really massive question for language learners everywhere. Can you actually learn Korean just by listening to K-pop? Like, is it a legitimate study tool, or is it honestly just great entertainment? Well, to get an objective answer, we're diving deep into an analysis from the language experts over at Talk to Me in Korean. They actually evaluated K-pop as a tool across 6 distinct language skills. So let's jump right in, check out the real scorecard, and most importantly, build a strategy playbook so you can actually make this work for you.
Okay, so tell me if this sounds familiar. We call it the fluency illusion. You might have been listening to K-pop for, 10 years? You can flawlessly sing the rap verses of every single BTS song, hitting every single beat. But then you walk into a Korean coffee shop or you try to talk to a native speaker and you just freeze. You realize you can't actually hold a basic conversation. Why does that happen? Well, memorizing lyrics is an incredible feat of memory, for sure, but it doesn't just automatically translate into real-world communication. To figure out where that disconnect is happening, we're going to audit 6 language areas in pairs: vocabulary and grammar, listening and speaking, reading and writing, and finally, bridging the gap.
Section 1. Vocabulary and Grammar. The extremes. These 2 language areas are quite literally on total opposite ends of the effectiveness spectrum. First up, vocabulary earns a flawless 5 out of 5 stars. Honestly, out of all the areas we're checking out today, vocabulary is where K-pop pulls its weight the absolute most. And it's not because K-pop is basically an all-in-one dictionary. It's because of the emotion. When you hear a word wrapped in this deeply emotional melody, it just sticks in your brain. You don't even have to use those traditional boring memorization techniques like flashcards.
And this phrase right here brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. 보고 싶다, or 보고 싶다. It translates to I miss you or I want to see you. If you're a BTS fan, you already know this phrase perfectly. Why? Because it appears a staggering 15 times in their hit song Spring Day. Because you're hearing it inside this gorgeous song with all that emotion behind it, it just lodges itself in your memory effortlessly. You never had to sit down at a desk and drill that phrase. The song did all the heavy lifting for you.
However, I do need to throw out a really quick warning about relying entirely on lyrics for your vocabulary. K-pop artists use a ton of poetic license. For example, the standard dictionary Korean word for rain or snow falling from above is nerida. But in the BTS track Young Forever, they intentionally changed it to narida, just to create this more lyrical, dreamlike vibe. The thing is, narida doesn't actually exist in the standard dictionary for daily conversation. So, the big takeaway is, K-pop is amazing for picking up words, but you always need to do a quick check to see if what you learned is standard daily Korean or just poetic license.
Now let's pivot to our next skill, grammar. And yeah, this is where things crash. We drop sharply from a 5-star rating down to a really dismal 1 out of 5 stars. Learning grammar through K-pop just doesn't work well. The main reason is that songs only give you these scattered, isolated fragments of grammar. They completely fail to teach you the underlying rules of how to actually use them. Let's look at this in action. Take the grammar point meaning because or since. It actually shows up 17 times in the BTS song DNA. But knowing what it means and knowing how to construct it yourself are 2 totally different things. If you want to take the verb to live, which is 살다, and try to say because I live, how are you going to conjugate it? Do you just attach the ending? Well, our source points out that both of the obvious guesses are wrong. The actual rule is that the consonant L drops out entirely, making it 사니까, 사니까. Look, a pop song is never going to stop the music to explain consonant dropping rules to you. Grammar requires understanding the engine under the hood, right? K-pop just gives you the shiny paint job.
Moving right along to Section 2, Listening and Speaking. The audio gap.
Now, you'd probably think that because K-pop is literally an audio medium, it would be the perfect tool for training your ear. But K-pop actually earns just a 3 out of 5 for listening. The real issue is that songs completely lack the natural intonation of real human speech. Melodies warp, stretch, and severely distort the way words actually flow together in the real world. A perfect example of this is J-Hope's verse in Blood, Sweat, and Tears. The actual lyric is wane mani mani, meaning I want it a lot. But to fit the beat and the stylistic rhythm of that specific track, it gets totally distorted and sung as wanne manne manne. So if you're trying to train your ear to understand what a native Korean speaker sounds like ordering at a cafe, this song is not going to help you. You really have to ask yourself, are you getting used to Korean intonation, or are you just getting used to that one particular song's melody?
And unfortunately, that distortion directly impacts our next score. Speaking drops down to a 2 out of 5. Because think about it, singing along in your car is entirely passive. It doesn't build the spontaneous, on-the-spot output you need for an actual back-and-forth conversation. Plus, blindly mimicking K-pop vocals can honestly cause you to develop some pretty bad speaking habits.
For instance, the proper spoken Korean word for to come true is 이루어지다, but it is incredibly common in K-pop to shorten this and pronounce it with a really smooth English-sounding R, making it sound like 이루어지다, which sounds amazing on a track, but if you copy that without realizing what you're doing, those mispronunciations sneak straight into your daily speech. You end up sounding like you're performing a stadium concert instead of just having a casual chat.
So what is the strategy here? Well, even BTS's RM says the secret is to watch a lot of their videos. But here is the critical key. You need to watch videos where they are not singing. We're talking interviews, unscripted reality shows, award speeches. Find a 1-minute clip and use this highly effective 3-step shadowing strategy. Step 1. Listen and repeat immediately after they speak. Step 2. Speak along with them in real time. Step 3. Pause the video and try to say their exact lines purely from memory. If you do this consistently, I promise your spoken Korean will dramatically improve.
Let's move into Section 3, Reading and Writing, the Literacy Loop. Now this is where things get really exciting, because the wider K-pop fandom experience provides a surprising amount of raw, unfiltered practice material. But to unlock it, you absolutely must learn Hangeul, the Korean alphabet. If you don't know Hangeul, your score for reading and writing is just a flat 0. But here's the amazing news. Hangeul is incredibly logical, and it honestly takes just 1 single hour to learn. Investing just 1 hour of your time becomes the prerequisite that unlocks massive language learning potential through the content you're already consuming anyway.
And once you know Hangeul, you can start using social media for actual reading practice. Stop scrolling past your favorite idol's Weverse posts like they're just cute little updates. Those posts are literal gold mines of real-world reading material. You're getting exposed to natural abbreviations, typos, slang words, and unique writing styles. Our source suggests maybe skipping RM's deeply philosophical posts right at the start and maybe trying to decode Jimin or Jin's posts instead. Just try to piece it together yourself before you automatically hit that translate button.
Which leads us straight into writing, earning a really solid 3 out of 5 stars. Writing feeds so naturally from reading. The more you read those social media posts and lyrics, the more you inherently understand how the language is structured. But it still demands active, physical production from you. Passive exposure alone is just not going to get you across the finish line.
So to boost that writing score, you need concrete actions. First up, try handwriting your favorite lyrics. If you're a beginner, this gets you super comfortable with the shapes and the spacing. If you're intermediate, it intentionally slows you down so you actually notice the grammar and vocabulary you'd normally just skim right past. Second, leave a short comment in Korean on your bias's post. Seriously, start simple. Drop a 보고 싶다 under a photo, then try 2 words. This builds real, practical confidence in your output.
And finally, Section 4, Bridging the Language Gap.
Let's zoom out for a second and look at the overarching reality of using K-pop as your primary study tool. The final scorecard tells a pretty clear story here. K-pop is totally incredible for vocabulary, and if you know Hangeul, it's great for reading practice within the fandom. But look at those super low scores for grammar and speaking. This proves that K-pop alone leaves significant learning gaps. And those empty spaces, they won't fill themselves. They require deliberate, active effort and structured learning outside of just hitting play on Spotify. But honestly, I want to leave you with this incredibly empowering thought from our source material today. K-pop is not a perfect textbook, but if you are a fan, it can be way more powerful than any textbook out there. Think about it. The countless hours you spend following your bias, watching their content, keeping up with their releases, that is not separate from studying Korean. As they put it, that can be studying Korean if you let it. With the right mindset and the active strategies we've talked about today, your fandom can genuinely transform into a profound educational tool. And so, that brings us to you. I really want to hear about your experiences. If a specific K-pop song finally helped a tricky grammar rule click for you, or if you had a massive wall trying to understand your favorite idol and had to figure out a way through it, what's your story? Drop your language journey in the comments below. Sharing your experiences helps build the community, and, it might just give someone else the exact breakthrough they've been searching for. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.